Hi there. Guys, let's wait a minute or two for all of you to join. And in the meanwhile, maybe you could write in the chat whether you can see me and hear me, especially when you can see the presentation. Yeah, I don't know where you are from, guys. You can write it down and let me know also what's the weather like at your place, because in Poland it's really, really hot. Hi there. Okay, half a minute or so. Let's wait, and then we think we can begin. Okay, so yeah, it's hot. Okay, good to know that I'm sharing with someone this you could say not very happiness, but well, the summer is still there, so let's enjoy it. Okay, guys, let's start. I'm Sylvia Kempa. I'm a product manager at XPlus, and today I would like to talk to you about lowering the cost of a system upgrade with the use of our Executive Explorer. If you participated in the previous sessions of this series, you've probably seen other ways of other ways of using Executive Explorer. This time I'm going to talk about lowering the cost of system upgrade and how it can help that. And so, guys, if you're interested in any other uses of Explorer, you can sign up for the series. The videos, the recordings are available. You can go back to it anytime you wish. Also, this one also will be recorded, so you can go back to it as well. Okay, so let's start. Let's take a look into the agenda for today. So first, I'm going to talk to you about the impact of customization on system rollouts. And then we will talk about identifying crucial customizations which are needed to be transferred to the new system, how to locate them. Later, I will show you Executive Explorer and how it can help you with the rollouts. And then there will be time for Q&A. And so here's, as always, a request from me throughout this session. If you have any questions, if at any time you want to ask about something, please write the question in the comments, and I will answer all of them during the last part of today's webinar during the Q&A. Okay, so can we start? I think we can. So let's go. Okay, so first, let's talk about the impact of customization on system rollouts. Of course, it is quite obvious that if you have let's say, AX 2012, and you have it for some years, for 5 years or even more, you've introduced some customizations there to adjust the system to your needs, right? Or the customer. If you're a partner, if you're in charge of making such upgrades for your customers, you've also probably encountered a number of customizations, some of them which needed to be transferred as well to the new system to ensure the business continuity. And as we know, with the increased number of modification also increases the time of the rollout, and of course the cost as well, right? The longer it takes, the greater number of customization there is, the more expensive the rollout itself. And so in order to mitigate it, to lower the costs, to make the rollout as painless as possible, as most cost efficient as possible, we need to face a few challenges. And the main of those challenges are the following. So first of all, we need to know which processes should be transferred, right? This is difficult to find out, actually, because, well, if you ask the users, they would say all of them are important, all of them should be transferred. or there may be even no knowledge in the organizations that some processes may be skipped, right? The same goes for modifications, especially for the modifications, actually. So throughout the years, many modifications were most likely made. Some of them may be no longer in use, right? They may be really needed in the past, but now years passed, processes change, approaches change, and those modifications are no longer used. So why should they be transferred, right? They would simply generate additional costs. They would prolong the project, but in the end, they would bring no value, only be an unneeded expense. And finding those, it's also quite challenging, right? To see what modifications actually there are and which of them may be skipped or even postponed. Because, if we talk about processes, not all of them need to be transferred with the rollout straight away. Some processes may, be used very rarely, once a year, once a quarter, and they may be simply transferred later on. They may be, maybe modified some way, optimized. Maybe there is some more time needed to make them better in the new system. So they may be excluded from the scope of the rollout itself. And yeah, so this is a challenge. Additional challenge is how to optimize the cost and time of the upgrade. Of course, this is one of these greatest challenges, and there are some practices which are performed by project managers, but generally the biggest challenge is to manage the scope, right? Is to optimize the time and cost by deciding on the scope and making it, as optimal as possible. And of course, that another challenge is to ensuring that the project will end successfully and within the expected budget. So maintaining the scope, making sure that only what is really crucial is to be transferred is very important here. And so let's think now about how to identify crucial customizations to be transferred to the new system, right? So first of all, we need to learn which customizations are still in use and which are no longer needed. And now the question is, how do we find those? Do we ask users? We may, of course, but do we have located the key users who may have this knowledge? Maybe such users don't even exist that know all about it, right? There may be the rotation in the organization may be so high that the users have no full knowledge of what was happening in the system and what customizations there are in total. And making those decisions, which are outdated, maybe not easy to make. Maybe this information also may be not easy to be achieved. And what is important also here, that documentation is not really a good source of such information, right? Okay, maybe there is information about processes, but it only shows as they look like or used to look like at the time they were being made, or even the document shows how is the wish, how the creator wished the process look like, but in the reality, it looks so completely different. So so this is the first step. The second step, which we truly recommend and believe is going to really change, to transform, to bring to a whole another level, the pro system upgrade, is enhancing your analysis of processes and customizations through process mining and machine learning, so that you skip those steps which were needed to get the knowledge about what customizations there are, how often they are used, who uses them, whether they are crucial to organization or not. This information, this analysis, can be made much, much shorter thanks to using tools such as our Executive Explorer that would enhance your analysis. Okay, guys, so if you're interested in what I've said so far, there is a chance to sign up for a free trial. The link will be visible in the chat. So if you are interested, please sign up. Now, we'll be moving to a showcase. But before we start, I'm just going to tell you what I will be showing you guys. So first of all, I will be showing you how to find the unused and outdated forms in the system so that you will know right away which forms may be skipped or postponed. Then I will find you how to find what really processes look like. So not documentation, not really some only user testimonials, but really what in reality the processes look like in the system. So you know what steps they involved. You'll be able to analyze it and maybe transfer as they are, or maybe propose some modifications, some different approaches, right? Because those processes may be very ineffective. And then, of course, I will also show you how to find key uses of processes that are to be transferred. And this will have to do with the fact that, generally when you are talking to when you are a project manager and you have meetings with key business, you could say business users, they may not have, detailed knowledge, those may be managers even, they may not detailed knowledge how the processes look like. And most likely you have many questions related to those processes, modifications that to be transferred. So with our tool, you will be able to quickly locate who those users are. So yeah, so I think we can now start the showcase. And yes, I hope you can see my screen. What do we see here is a forms pivot. It works a bit, it's shown as a table. It may remind you of Excel. Here, all those, are movable. So you can, for example, decide which forms you want to analyze by a given company. So let's say I want a given company and I want to see what forms are used there. But if we were to take a look in total, I have information about the name of the form and by period, by monthly, how often they are used in hours. So let's say I want to take a look at those which are no longer used. And here we see that for 7 months, since February, nobody used those forms. Yeah. So here you have, with one click of a mouse, you have information, which of course, not all of these forms can be skipped. Some are system forms, right? But those modified can be omitted straight away or postponed if they are, if you have a proof that they are no longer used. Additionally, you can do the same thing with processes. Also have all processes and check how often they are used. Maybe there are some which are very rarely used, like, for example, creating quotation here seems to be a very rarely used process. In this case, of course, it's a test data, and since March it was not used. So maybe it was transferred to another system or result completely differently. So we actually know which processes are the most important. And okay, so there was another point regarding which I've shown you in the presentation. It was regarding the how do we know what the processes actually look like, what steps do they involve, how many variants of the process there are, because it's normal that in such systems different users may have a totally different approaches to executing a single process. So in order to learn more about it, we can also offer some process details. I have already prepared it, so just to go straight away to the main point and do not look for some processes. So here is a window dedicated to processes. This process is related to sales order, creating sales orders. Here I have some KPIs, information about the number of executions of this process, the number of users who execute this process, the potential for automation, where one means low potential, and the total cost of this process. And now we have a process graph. Let me expand it a bit. What do you guys see here is how the process looks like step by step. So we start at start, follow the arrows, and finish at the end, right? And what do you see here actually? The bold lines and the thin lines. You may wonder, what do they mean? The bold lines show you the most often used steps in this process. So this is how most of these users generally work with this process. And those thinner lines, like here or here, those show us the additional variants. the other ways this process may be executed. And by having this information, by analyzing all the variants, you may find the optimal one and actually transfer to the new system the optimal process, and not maybe not the one which is the most often used. And we can analyze the variants by using this section. For example, I'm click on the first variant. Here I have information, number of executions, average steps, intake, and so on. And the graph changes, right? It shows you what this variant looks like. Now I may click on another one, and this is how this variant looks like, another one, and so on and so forth. What's more, I can see exactly what a given execution looks like. So let me scroll down. Here's one of the executions. Let me open it. Sorry, I just need to log in. I was logged out. Okay. And what we've got here is the actual steps which were involved. So by using this information, we can actually analyze each step involved in the process. We know exactly what it looks like, exactly what, even you can even say what values are typed just to recreate it. So for example, if I were to click on one of these steps, I have here some properties, some information about environment, the company, the form which was used. Yeah. So this information, and even business context. So which fields were filled with which information. Also, if there was some inboxes checked, additionally those or some options were picked from a drop-down list, all of that is being shown here. Of course, it serves another purpose, not only for recreating processes, but later on, after the system is upgraded, it may work as a great place to to perform some audits or enhance anti-fraud procedures, right? Because everything is being recorded, every change to the system is there. So additionally, in support, if you have cases when users get lost in the system, it happens, right? It will happen. It's very probable that at first the users who will only get familiar with the system, they will be getting lost. They will be clicking on things. They will be making the process. They will be getting simply overwhelmed by the process. It's a new thing for them, right? So the number of errors, of the mistakes, may be quite large at the beginning, but with this and the support will have quite a lot of work to do, especially the first line of support, because more often than not it will happen like this, that the user will come to support and say, well, I've done something, I'm not really able to recreate all the steps I've done, but it resulted in error. And in order to find to reproduce those steps, you simply go here, check what the user has done, you can recreate it. You can find out what was being done wrong, actually, what resulted in the error. So this is also another way of applying Explorer, which may be used. Additionally, also it's worth mentioning, I believe, that to ensure that whether the business users are performing user acceptance tests, right? Those are very important during the rollout, to make sure that the users are actually performing them, that they are doing them correctly. And because we record every action, we are able actually to check whether they've done it correctly. And for the company itself, it is in the future also important, because, as you know, the one version policy introduced by Microsoft kind of obliges us to always check whether the new version is working right. So then we can also always control that the user acceptance tests are performed as they should be. And one last thing I wanted to show you here. This is a process pivot. So as I said, how to locate key users of a given process. It's simply, what I've done, I've simply picked pick processes, added some users. This is, fully customizable. You may also add company if you are interested how within companies they look like, those processes. But let's say I'm interested in a process called create customer. Here I see a number of users who use this process, And I can check here which of those users, in this case, the first one, uses the process most often. So it may mean that, most likely it means, of course, that this user has the most knowledge about the process itself. So this is a good person to actually ask about some details here. And with every process, it can be done. Of course, we can take additional information also. We can assign process owners if there are any, right? So also by the owner, we can decide. I'm not going to show you right now because it won't affect the table, as we've not assigned in this environment owners yet, but it is possible to assign them. So even better, right? You know who is the business owner of a given process, and you know to whom go and ask questions. We can also decide on environments. And what's more, of course, this data is presented as a table because, in my opinion, right now, this is better to be, it is easier to interpret and analyze. But if you prefer a different approach, different way of presenting data, you can check, you can pick from this list, for example, bar chart, line chart, and so on. You have here multiple options to choose from. Additionally, all those fields here are also manageable. You may not decide on some, you may average. So this table here, this pivot works actually as pivot in Excel, offers you multiple ways of use. So you can actually be better prepared and get more information for analysis when it comes to system upgrade. And I think we can move back the presentation. I hope that everything was being visible. There were no technical issues. I don't see any issues in any complaints actually in the chat, so that's great. What next? I also wanted to remind you that in the chat there is a link to the free trial to which you can sign up. You can sign up for a trial, or if you want for a dedicated demo, you can also use this form, and we will contact you. We can talk about it. And guys, now is the time for the Q&A session, for the part when you send some questions. I do not see anything in the chat yet, so now is a good time to actually write those questions. And in the meanwhile, while I'll be waiting for this question, because it takes some time for them to arrive on my, in my, you could say, in my chat, right? So first of all, how the tool works, because if you are not present in the previous sessions, you may not know that this works like this, that the tool, Executive Explorer, works like this. It records every action, everything that is being done by users in the system. That's why it serves as the objective source of truth. It shows you what really happens in the system. There is no way that it shows outdated data, as documentation may, right? It always shows you the data which is there. And of course, also our machine learning and our process mining algorithm work on this data and look for processes there. So it finds processes. It doesn't need to have them predefined. This is also important in cases when the processes are not documented at all and the company is not aware of what processes there are in total, right? So this is how it works, and the data is being, stored. It belongs to the customer, to the owner of the license. So it's not owned by X Plus. It's owned by our customers. So you have full access to it, and you don't need to worry that somebody who shouldn't would have access to it. So no worries here. Okay, I've got one question here. It asks if it works on AX29. Not really, on AX 2009, sorry. No, it doesn't. For now, it works only on AX 2012 and Dynamics 365. But if you have a case and you would want to, to have a project with us to use this tool on AX 2009, we are open to it. We may discuss this. We may, we may participate in this project together and prepare a solution that would also work on AX 2009. So guys, if you're interested, you feel free to contact me, and we can work on that together. Okay, I see no more questions. So I think we may finish there. Oh, sorry, that was another question. The question is it, maybe, sorry, I forgot completely about showing the question, displaying them. sorry, now I'm going to display one so that you all can see the question. The question is it also possible to check the detailed report parameters selected by the user? It depends actually, but generally yes. Generally, you can also verify them. If the execution of the process is to prepare such a report, you see all details which are being input. If it all is being done within Dynamics 365 or AX. Okay. The next question is when everything is logged. I think when or where. I'm not sure when everything is logged. Well, we are logging information at all time. Of course, to minimize the costs of the infrastructure, we may only record during the work hours, but we want to record everything, right? Because only by recording everything that happens in the system, we have a full view and we see actually truth about what happens in the system. And if the question was where everything is logged, it is being held in a database which belongs to the customer, right? And we also implement some ways. I'm not a technical person, so I may use the wrong terms, but generally what we do is we try to, to minimize the size of this data because the large quantity of data is being stored, so that it doesn't really weigh too much. So we also, compress this data so it doesn't really weigh as much. We also have, predefined based on our customers' experience and the number of users and so on, we already have some information about how much in general how much data, the data weights, depending on a different quantity of end users. So if you are interested in it, also please contact me. I can share this information with you so you can, make some estimation of the cost of the infrastructure. Sorry. I hope I answered your questions, Lizette. If not, please let me know. I would, if I somehow misunderstood what you were asking about. And you're asking about log file. We are not storing the logs, the system logs. No, we are recording just like Google Analytics. Just like Google Analytics, we record every user action in the system, every click of the mouse, everything that is being input in the fields, every option chosen, every everything picked from drop-down lists, every box marked, things like that. We do not really work here on logs. We prefer to work on actually what happens in the system to get more information, because we store information about what actually users are doing. And if for example, if the users were getting lost in the system, they would be clicking some things on random, looking for the right thing. If we only take in the logs, we won't be able to find that out, right? So, and this is also crucial information. So by looking actually at user actions, I think we are able to get much more information than otherwise. I'm only focusing on system logs. Okay, now I hope I've really answered your question. I do not see any more comments or any more questions there. If they were, oh yeah, okay, listen. Now I think that the answer is answered. So great. Okay. Yeah, as I said, I have some, the question, your questions a bit later. I see them of your comments, or not only questions, all comments I see much later than they actually type them. So I need some time. But now I don't see any more questions. But guys, if you have any, please feel free to contact me later. If any questions arrive, we can of course talk. We can take a look at the system in a wider scope. So that's it. Thank you very much for participating in this session. I hope it was interesting for you. You can sign up for the free trial. It's in the links in the chat. Just serve as a reminder. And well, hopefully see you next week during the next webinar. So have a lovely day. See you.